Welcome back to Real Geek Media. It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. I am Hayden Stoll here with author Christopher Michael Blake and our special guest tonight, Oshal, aka DJ Meta 4. Oshal, welcome.
Thank you.
We're happy to
Thank
have
you.
you
Pleased to
here.
be on the show. Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get rolling?
Sure. So I think I'm somewhat of a bit of a unique guy. Now, definitely a bit of a geek in the comics. Grew up in comics in the 80s and 90s, even some in 70s, X-Men, Marvel, all those, great things. I go to Comic Cons when I can with some great friends. I'm also a digital DJ. So if anyone wants to, you can book me at lamandlionmusic.com via my merch in the tri-state area, Delaware, Maryland, Philly. I do travel. So again, a digital DJ, really more cuss-free hip hop, but also R&B, all different types of stuff. I do have a unique genre, I would say. Definitely, I'm a Christian. So I always talk about God here and there, everywhere really, but and they're spreading the love of God. Most importantly, that's the great thing. Let people know that you are loved, even if you think you're not. You really are, and so that's kind of my unique thing. And I'm also on Twitch and other streaming platforms as well. As well as TikTok and all those things, and just released a new album as well. So
Wow, congratulations.
my experience. Yeah. Thank you. Just finished it like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
You ever released it yet?
It is. It's on my Bandcamp. It's released on the Bandcamp. It's 7 songs, more of an EP, I guess. But feel free to check it out. Again, it's Lamb and Lion Music, like the two animals. LAMBANDLIONMUSIC.com. So lamandlionmusic.com. Along with Marvel versus Capcom. So I rhyme. I actually rap about nerdy stuff. So when I rap, it's usually about nerdy stuff. I have a Marvel versus Capcom Infinite 2 song, Soul Calibur song, Justice League song, Seven Samurai song, the old black and white film, the classic, by which the Magnificent Seven was inspired, as well as other movies as well. And some other things in the works. So feel free to check it out. Hopefully people enjoy, and follow me on YouTube as well.
Awesome. I met you at WildCon back in January, and
yes,
we just kind of hit it off. And I was so impressed with you, and just how we kind of went back and forth about ancient astronaut theory and some religious aspects, and like you were mentioning some of the comic book stuff, and we had so much in common, and I was just like, oh, I gotta get this guy on. So I'm glad you could make it.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. 100%. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, Chris, and appreciate you, Hayden. Appreciate you guys a lot.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. And again, we're going to be talking tonight about Thunderbolts. So we've all seen the movie. But before I get into that too far, Christopher, tell me, what's up with you? What's new?
Life is like the bottom of your shoe after you step in some dog poo sometimes. It's just very hard. I don't understand why it's this difficult sometimes. It's just...
You just got to push the easy button, man. Remember those?
If you could show me where that is, I would greatly appreciate that. I try to put things in God's hands, like Oshal was mentioning before. I don't mean to get up on that box, but if you've ever tried to deal with an insurance company, there's no easy button there, unfortunately. And they just, needless to say.
Can I say something to you real quick? That I think, in life, obviously, life be lifing. That's what a lot of my friends be saying. Life be life.
You better trademark that.
And it's like, it's like hit after hit. And we go through those challenges. But I'm reminded of something, like you said, I try to put in God's hands, since you brought up, there's a scripture, Isaiah 26:3, that says, he will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusts in thee. Meaning, when you keep your mind focused on God, even in the midst of a tornado, right? They say that the most peaceful spot is in the middle. So you may have chaos and crazy. So I get people call me, oh, you owe this, you owe that. I'm like, what? But there's a peace and an understanding is that you trust in that you'll get through it. But that going through it part is the part that's like stepping in that dog poo. You're like, right when you step in it, like, you look down like that. But you're going to get through to the other side where your shoe will be clean. You can wash it off. You'll be refreshed. And so I just want to encourage you and anybody else feeling that way and that, because, life is like the facts of life. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. But at the end, in my opinion, God is the one that gets you through to the graduation point, if that makes sense, to the other side.
Oshal, I gotta say, I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris. I gotta say, I think Oshal is the perfect person to review this movie with us because it's going to cut into some themes, and I think Oshal is going to be the perfect person to talk about some of that.
Oh, got you.
Sorry, Chris.
I was not anticipating the Facts of Life reference there, but can I have the good-looking sister if we go on like double dates?
Blair.
Is that what it was? Yeah, it was just...
You talking about Blair? Which one you talking about?
Blair.
I don't know their names.
Judy, Blair, Joe. I remember.
You seem to know all their names. I'm
Mrs. Garrett. Were you looking at Mrs. Garrett? I'm just.
That's the other thing. My memory is just so shot nowadays. It's like I'm like I knew that word 2 days ago, and I can't think of it today. I'm like, I don't know where it goes. It's just I digress. Go ahead, Hayden.
So we're going to get into it here. Thunderbolts. We've all seen it. None of us have shared our own opinions with each other, so this is our kind of first time talking about it all in the same room. Anybody want to? Do we want to recap the plot real fast, or essentially it's the CIA director setting up all these fringe heroes to eventually kill each other and all die in a base where all evidence of her medical experimentation to create essentially Marvel Superman is, right? That's what kicks off this whole plot. But we're introduced right off the bat. We see Yelena Belova, who is Black Widow's sister. And we got her story in the Black Widow movie where she debuted, and she's appeared in a couple of the TV series, I think. But she's depressed. She is suicidal-ish, some tendencies there. Like right off the bat, like it hits you with this message. She's sitting on the building and she's giving the monologue about how she's not fulfilled and she's just drifting and this isn't what she wants to do. And then she just goes right off the building, right? I think right off the bat there in that image sets the tone for the theme of this movie, which is depression and suicide, and how do you find a way out of that? And without going too off on the rails, I thought that was a very interesting approach for a superhero movie to take, and I thought that was pretty poignant. I liked that they went there with that. I really did, because we just saw Captain America in February when that came out, right? That was just start to finish action movie by numbers. There's really no depth in any of that. That's just bad guy, go get bad guy, stop bomb, stop Red Hulk, movie over, right? This movie was a lot more complicated than that with these characters. And we're going to get into that. I don't want to go too far off. Did you guys enjoy or Christopher, what were you going to say?
It's just my opinion, but even though Florence Pugh's character is depressed and suicidal and just having the yuckiest of times, it's very bleak for her. They still found a way to put a couple jokes in there and to make it a little bit funny and a little bit entertaining. And I like when she's telling the guy who's tied up, "Hey, are you still listening to me? I need to." And then she's walking out, and the building hasn't exploded yet, but now it has. And then she pulls out the little dog or whatever animal, the test animal it was, and they still made her somewhat entertaining. We didn't see that at all in Captain America. Again, I discussed this when I went to go see Hard Eyes versus Captain America. Hard Eyes had a lot going for it. 2 attractive characters who were main characters, some blood, some gore, some comedy, some romance. Captain America, even when it's supposed to be going up and it's supposed to be dramatic, it fell flat. It just flatlined the entire movie. Nothing really was like, oh, this is interesting me. This is grabbing my attention. This one actually, it had some up and downs to it. Oshal, what did you think? This was the opening.
I think, Hayden, just, that's not, Hayden, to your point, that's not something I guess I had focused on, like as far as the emotional, why I don't know, like the emotional piece in regard to it. I have, but maybe I did focus on it, and maybe I wasn't so focused on it because being someone who's actually gone through those particular things, depression, like just being, and suicidal thoughts, I can relate to that. Like even when the guy was going through this complete low and complete high. So from a perspective of a movie that speaks to, real life emotions, situations, tragedy or just ups and downs. Let me just say that in life, stepping in dog poo maybe more than we want to, then I can relate from that perspective and say, yeah, in that way, and touching on that, I think that was good. There were some other things from a Marvel movie aspect that I felt it maybe kind of fell short in, but even the attempt or the them touching on that, in my opinion, is a great thing, a good thing.
I just want to say something, Oshal. It takes a strong person to admit that they've had suicidal thoughts in the past, and I know I've had them in the past as well. And I think probably a majority of people in the world have had it at some point in time. I don't think you could be human and not.
Right.
But I think the people who admit it versus the people who don't, is the difference. That's all. And it doesn't make you weaker. And in fact, it's empowering because, again, I can tell you the same thing. We've all been there.
Right.
But again, for me, this is a little bit different. Whereas Captain America started off with, oh, it's a hostage, and I got to go in there and go. This was her telling her story. And she was a character I really didn't appreciate in Black Widow.
Right.
I thought she was cute in this one. I didn't think she was cute in Black Widow either. There's some stuff kind of going on where she had a certain panache to her that I didn't see in Black Widow. And I appreciate her character a little bit more as a result. I really wasn't knowing what I was going to expect walking into this movie. But Hayden, keep going us through. Have us go through the movie here at this point.
So while they're in the building, right, we'll go through the
trash compactor.
We'll go through the core lineup because this is where they're all facing off against each other, right? So Yelena and then U.S. Agent Walker shows up, and people will remember him if you're only watching the shows from the Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier series. He was in that as the new Captain America. Then you have Ghost from the Ant-Man. I think, was it the first or second Ant-Man movie? I think the second one.
Second one, I think so.
Yeah, Ghost was in that. So that's kind of a very obscure character. I don't know if audience would even recognize that character, to be honest with you.
I really like the Ant-Man too. I thought it was one of the better movies, better Marvel movies out there. I enjoyed it. So,
and Taskmaster is the other operative that shows up, and again, Taskmaster in the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows up in the Black Widow movie and is the main, I guess, physical antagonist in that. Now, Taskmaster's dealt with very early on, has one line of dialogue. And she checks out, and that's it. But they all come to realize, like, some people are here to kill the other ones and some are not, and then they awaken out of a cryo chamber. Here's Bob just standing there in his pajamas, and everybody's like, what is happening? What? And they all kind of come to the realization, like, hold on, what is going on here? And they kick on like the fail safe, which is to incinerate everything, and they have to now start working together to get out of the building. And this is where personalities start to clash. All of these characters are, like I said, none of them are perfect. None of them are essentially good. They're fallen heroes. They're just villains, assassins, so they're really, at this point, there's not much to redeem for these characters, and they, in their personalities, are showing that. It's just kind of like, I've lost everything. Like for Walker, he's lost his family, and he's lost his reputation as a good soldier due to the events of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Ghost is essentially, again, just for hire on the run. And then there's Bob, and Bob at this point isn't just an enigma. What is this person doing in this building? All right, we got some of the stuff that they're there to eliminate the traces of the Superman program, right? So, he's just kind of aloof in there, and just, they're like, "Come on, Bob," like Bobby, they're antagonizing him, but Yelena kind of sees something in him as like, I'm going to protect this guy because there's something, I got to protect him, right? So then we get the confrontation with the military outside when they leave the building. And this is where we start to realize, okay, there is something about Bob here. And our characters essentially separate. Now at this point, they're starting to discover a little bit about each other. Walker, they start to learn a little about him. We start to learn a little about Ghost, Ava, and Yelena and her relationship with Red Guardian. Now, what did you think of Red Guardian?
Me, myself?
Yes.
So I like his character in general. Like as an actor and how he portrays him, he's cool. Like I like it. It was even in the beginning, he's kind of drinking in his sorrow, sitting down, like just watching, thinking about, I guess, the glory days, and this would be the second round of glory days for him, wouldn't it? Because based off the Black Widow movie, he was Red Guardian way before that, and had been locked up, and then they broke him out, and you fight a little bit, but then you're set to the side again. So it's like he has 2 times on the shelf, of being, unused, or maybe feeling non-valuable or disvaluable, or however you want to look at it. Which is very interesting that he was able to speak to Yelena's character about stepping back in and the value and the importance of her, getting back out in the field. So I think from a perspective of a cheerleader / encourager for the group, he was good and important in terms of bringing them together. So I think that part, I do think there may have been some slight drawbacks from the tactical standpoint, in my opinion, in that you had 3 super soldiers on one team. If that, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay. And so that made it, I was like, as opposed to somebody that was a little more versatile additionally on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Christopher, what do you think about these characters, Red Guardian, any of them? What do you think to this point?
I think Red Guardian provided some valuable comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was the limo, some of the stuff he was doing in the house, he's pretending to be things he really kind of wasn't. He's still sitting there drinking. He's like, oh, I've been so busy doing all this different stuff. And he's just really running a shoddy limo service, Look, for me, the most valuable scene in the first half of the movie is when they're climbing the elevator shaft and they have to, all 4 of them, keep their legs together, which I can't imagine how difficult that is to do in real life. But that they have to trust one another that, hey, is that person really going to come back for us? Mm-hmm. Is that person really going to, hey, if we let her through that door, is she going to hit the electrical circuit and get us out of here before this thing blows up? Is she really going to come back with the truck and free us? You sure you can cut the power and turn it back on in time because they're wearing night vision? We can blind these people and things aren't working out so perfect as they had planned. It really kind of builds the foundation for some teamwork that we had to earn, which nothing comes easy at that point, which in other Marvel movies you miss, because if you remember the original Avengers movie, Iron Man and Thor are fighting. And it was like, oh, they're going dukes at it. And you're like, oh, this is what I want to see. Let's see that. Let's have that kind of drama, that kind of conflict, because they're not team members yet. It's just like, oh, hey, you know what? Today we're just going to team up and take down Thanos. Not a problem. It'd be too easy to do something similar to that. So they have to work for it. And I really appreciated that as a fan of a movie, not just a Marvel movie, but a fan of a movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. It's earned, it's not given. And like you said, we get a lot of nowadays movies where it's just, boom, you're the hero, on your way. This was a big struggle for this group to come together to that moment and the climax, right? To the point where they all walked away and then they all came back together. And as far as, I just want to point this out with Red Guardian. For me, this character is the heart of this movie. You know, like Osha said, you know, he's the one that, you know, he provides some light moments, and he tells Yelena about all the light that he sees in her, and, you know, the light is missing from you. You should go and do this. And he's steering her, and they talk about the winless soccer team. And all through the movie, he never gives up on her and on the team. You know, he's enthusiastic that they being a team and they stay together when the rest of them are just kind of like, are you kidding me? No, you know, but he was the one that kept at it. And he's the one at the end. He has this speech with Yelena where he tells her, you know, and they have that moment, you know, yes, I screwed up, but I always saw light in you and I don't see it. And it's bothering me. It's concerning for me. And it's that message we get throughout this film and the trauma that all of these characters have experienced. And it's a lot of trauma. It's essentially just trauma bonding this entire movie. And, you know, the scenes with Bob, it's interesting. I took my kids to see this, and I asked them at the end, I was like, well, who was your favorite character? And, you know, my son, you know, he says, you know, I liked, you know, I kind of like them all, but, you know, these characters were my favorite. And I asked my daughter, I said, what was your favorite? She's like, I like Bob. I was like, really? I was like, what about him? She's like, well, I felt really bad. I almost teared up. You know, she was telling me, she's like, I almost teared up, you know, in that scene where he's sitting in the room, you know, and Yelena finds him and he's just like, you know, I'm never good enough. I'm never, you know, I'm always the problem, you know. And so for like a kid to see that, and it hits them so hard that they get emotional over it. Like, this is a comic book movie. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, that was like why I had said this movie, you know, I appreciate the take that they did on it, because it is not an easy one. It's tricky, right? Like, and like you guys are saying, like, everybody's got something, right? And you're forced to kind of deal with it and talk about it and get through it. But you have friends, you have family to help you get through those things, even though you may not realize you do. And I thought that was just a tremendous message from this film.
Yeah, I just, you mentioned the family and the friends, and you know, people that help you get through it. And there's like a scripture, I think it says that there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. But there's those people that are there for you that you can talk to. Like, hey, I look at it this way: God made us socio-emotional beings. God has emotions, and we're supposed to talk to people. You know what I mean? Interact. And when you can talk to those people that can listen, just like the Yelena character, I think that was a very epitome of her being willing to listen, and actually her being willing to walk through this situation with him, you know, and find him, which is kind of metaphorical, but also literal.
Yes.
You know, she found him where he is, you know, and was able to identify or just be with him in that place, which was so crazy to me because he was so calm on the floor. I'm like, do you know that you're killing everybody on the outside? You know, like on the outside, you're just like, yo, and on the inside, he's on the floor, like, what? Hello. I'm like, like, no, we need to fix this, sir. But anyway, so just her, you know, finding him there in that place. And, you know, okay, to your point, Hayden, how many people need to be found in that place? Whatever is going on with them outside that may be crazy, that may be off the chain, but if you can speak to and touch that area. And I much look at it like this, you know, personally, like, I think personally the Spirit of God can touch that area. I mean, God uses people as well, so let me just clarify. But also the Spirit of God can talk to and touch that area that's needed to be touched, or, you know, spoken to most, to where it's like, there's a release, there's a relief, there's a let go. Just like when he's beating in, they're like, wait a minute, not to jump too far ahead. They're like, wait, that's what he wants. Now watch this. Very intricately or similarly, in my opinion, from an emotional standpoint, that's what the enemy wants. If you look at the devil as an enemy, like the Bible says he's the father of lies, but also he brings on anger, and it talks about his fury and anger, but he wants that in everyone else. So when people are furious and angry and like can't settle down, I personally look at it as like the devil's influence on this person, instead of them being able to be relaxed and released and not anxious, not angry, you know, because, you know, truthfully, the Bible talks about joy and God wanting us to be joyful. But opposite of that would kind of be being angry, being, bitter, like this bitterness. A lot of people are bitter. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if God can use a person to touch that, to speak to that area and walk through somebody with that, how they can come out of it. Or if the Spirit himself can touch that area, they can come out of it. Real quick, just a quick story. Like, I worked at a facility years ago. And I was, I won't give too much away, but I worked at a facility. And there was a supervisor that we had, and he was a big dude. And for whatever reason, like, he was intimidating. He could be intimidating. And not only that, he was very much like, do this, do that, do this. Like, just, it was almost like, I mean, probably somebody on the outside was watching, like, oh no, we need to write this up. Somebody needs to, make some sort of case. But he was just like, he made people do something. The way he did it, like, people quit. But I remember one day I was talking to him. I would always say, well, and it's funny, I won't give away his name, but it's so funny. It's it's in similarities to somebody now. But I would say, I think this or I think that, and I would just be very peaceful, try to be very calm. And I'll never forget, and I always responded to him that way, no matter what he said, no matter what he did. He didn't come at me a lot. But I'll never forget one day, I say, Bob, I think this, or I think God is this. He's like, really? You think that? I'm like, yeah, I think God is good, or God is this. One day he came into work. I'll never forget this. And he came and he said, hello. And he said something to one of the coworkers. He said, isn't it a beautiful day outside? I'll never forget this as long as like, this never came out as just sometimes somebody, isn't it a beautiful day? And I'm so sorry. The person that he said it to.
Oh. We'll wait for Oshal's having some technical difficulty. See if he can reconnect. Christopher,
do you want to continue with the
synopsis?
The plot story.
So we're at the point where they have separated. Bob is now gone with Valentina off to New York City, and
right.
we now are reintroduced to the Avengers Tower. It's no longer the Avengers Tower, but they own
the
it.
Seinfeld Tower, yes.
The Seinfeld Tower, yes.
The Seinfeld Tower, yeah.
Put the big S on the outside. And now,
what is Sentry doing up here?
But what they had discovered, and the reason why they brought him there, was that they unloaded massive amounts of bullets into him at the facility, at the offsite.
They basically blew him up, yeah.
Yeah, and he took the bullets, he went flying, and then he crashed to the ground. And she's like, oh, this is going to be my Superman. This program worked. I knew it worked. They're off to New York. And they have a whole catalog of uniform or, superhero outfits. And they also have, they dye his hair. And she's trying to get him, coax the power out of him by moving things sort of like, the Force, move the glass, this, that. And you start to see that, he has this ability and he does have all this in him. And then the rest of the group has attempted to escape to the area, and they're fleeing in the Red Guardian limo.
And Bucky Barnes.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, welcome.
Back. We're just continuing the synopsis of the movie. We're to the point where Bucky Barnes kind of shows up and saves the day at this point.
Gotcha. So did you guys catch the last part at all that I said, or no? Or
about
a beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Yeah. So I was just going to say real quickly that, and one of his fellow employees said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "You never act like this." I'm being honest to God. He said, "What's wrong with you? Never act like this." And the guy, this supervisor, he paused for a minute. He said, "You know what? Forget it." And then he went back to how he had been, but he had come to a place where he was about to look at things from a different perspective.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. We're at, yes, Bucky Barnes. Okay, so Bucky shows up, takes out the convoy that's about to take out the Red Guardian limo. Mm-hmm. And here's Bucky. And they're excited. Oh, it's Bucky, and then here he comes and he blows up the limo and takes them all into custody. And he's going to take them back because essentially they're witnesses for this impeachment hearing where they're trying to take down Valentina. now he's got them all rounded up, and they're telling him, Bob is, the key here, right? And he's on the phone with Valentina's assistant saying, I'm going to get him. I'm going to bring him back. And they essentially convince him that, listen, Bob is what we need. We need to stop her, right? We need to get Bob. So reluctantly, he is letting him go. And, they're off to go rescue Bob or stop Valentina. So then that's where we end up towards the climax here in the old Avengers Tower, new Seinfeld building. And then we have the face off, right? So they barge through the front door, they beat up everybody, and Valentina's like, hey guys, I left it open. Come on up. So you're just like, okay. Off they go, off the elevator they go, and now they have their confrontation with Bob. Right? Here's the debut of the Sentry. He comes down, he's wearing the outfit, he's got the hair bleached blonde, and he's basically unstoppable. He makes quick work of everybody there. And at this point, Valentina tells him, finish him off, go kill him. He's like, they're not a threat. I'm not doing that. And now the conflict between Sentry and Valentina, she's like, I control you. He's like, no, and they have a fail-safe installed that the assistant triggers, incapacitates Bob, and off they go. They're going to try and collect the body, and then they realize the body's not there. And here we are introduced now to the Void as he's floating high above New York City and just turning people into basically grease spots.
That was disturbing. That's so disturbing. I was like, no,
it was. And like the scene where like the Thunderbolts main team, I guess, is on the ground and they're stopping. The crane had just collapsed and helicopters are crashing and they're protecting them. And the Red Guardian saves this little girl. And then the little girl just poof, she's gone. And you're just like, how are you going to stop this guy at this point? So, we roll into some heavier things at this point where the group's like, we can't do this. What do we get? How do we beat him? And this is after Red Guardian and Yelena had their, little moment together, to get her back on board and make her feel better. And she decides she's going to go into the Void and get Bob. And he's like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And off she goes and boom, she's gone. And then like we had spoken about, talking about this sequence about how she's going in to find him in there, which in like, when you think about it, like you had said, Oshal, it's deep. Like, right. I'm going to find him in all this depression and sadness. I'm going to find him and I'm going to bring him back out. Mm-hmm. Right. Like that, mm-hmm. That's a deep concept, right? Like, and showing it in the sense of a comic book movie, which, like I said, it's just, I find it kind of fascinating that's kind of the premise of this movie. And, it's a superhero movie. It's a comic book film, right? Like, mm-hmm. You don't expect it to be that deep, but it's got these things that are really, really in there. And visually you see it. She's seeing all the bad that's happened to her, and she's reliving it over and over and over again until she can find a way away from that to get closer to him. And she's just, I thought that scene was well done. And man, it was impactful. It really was.
My opinion only. And I think we need to stop right there and pause. Just get everybody's opinion about this. Is just not like any other Marvel action movie where we're going to go beat the bad guy up at the end. Because again, like you said, Hayden, this is a psychological twist. And you're fighting demons, basically, and memories that the Void's kind of pulling into you. But my problem is with Sentry. I have read comic books where Moon Knight whoops his ass. And he's not the big bad villain that he appears on the screen here, where he's almost unstoppable and all powerful. And I'm kind of like torn because Moon Knight's my guy, and I'm like, But again, is that
like, I like that version where he gets
right? I was like, I ain't like the Marvel Moon Knight, but I mean, or the TV show Moon Knight. I thought it was just too toned down. They made it like Daredevil. I just got done watching Daredevil, Born Again. I loved it. I got through 9 episodes. I was like, wow, how they didn't film all 18? I mean, come on, give me the rest of them. And if they had just made the Moon Knight series as gritty as they had made that, I think it would have been a success. But it's neither here nor there. This is not like any other Marvel movies ending where, hey, we got to go take the bad guy out at the end and have this big confrontation. I'm going to tell you now, if you guys disappear into the void, I'm not coming to come get you. You are on your own. I can be honest with myself and tell you that. I will be under the desk somewhere, hoping he does not find me. I will send my cat in to come get you guys. That's about it.
Just attach a rope to him.
No. I can't even do that. But that's just me. I'm just letting you know I'm not coming in to come get you. So, Oshal, what you think?
I'm sorry. I think that's what made it so unique, but also so scary, but also so kind of profound as far as from that perspective, the perspective that Hayden's been talking about the most, like that psychological, emotional, you gotta defeat yourself. Like the only one that really could stop him was him. Like, you know what I mean? Like people used to say, and with all, Kobe was a great, like the only one that could stop me, Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. Like this dude, you know what I mean? But like if she didn't find him, wouldn't nobody else gonna be found either, because everybody's gonna be gone. Like if she didn't find him, like this was literally like the whole world, it looked like was gonna be gone. Because they said it like, they really set it up like, oh, like they made him look like who could stop, like there's really nobody that could stop him. Even though it was a statement when Valentina said he's stronger than all the Avengers rolled up in one. Now you really want to see, like, you feel like, dang, like could he just like kind of pluck the Hulk, like, you know what I mean, like what I mean, and then smack so and so, and like all the Avengers would be done. So like what, you know what I mean, like they made him feel like, even in that short segment, because it was short but impactful, that he really, nobody else can really handle him in the Marvel universe. And so that, from that perspective, is an interesting point. That's like, wow, the only way we can stop him is to get him to stop himself, to change himself. They'd be like, no, I'm not going to be this void. I am going to be, it's either Sentry or Bob. Listen, I'm going to be Bob. Bob is cool because Bob is, we keep it level, but might be a problem. The void definitely going to be a problem. And Sentry, we gonna have to, what I'm saying, we're gonna wait for level whatever world is burning, the asteroids coming to destroy the world before you need to put that suit back on. So just kind of got that vibe and that feel. So to step in there was like the courage. Let me say this, to your point, Chris, the amount of boldness that it would take to step into that thing and courage into the void to say, I'm going to get him, is really beyond, in my opinion, facing a Thanos, facing a this or that, facing a that, or you can see that. With this, you can't really, don't know where it's coming from, and then she's getting slapped around. That really kind of, in a way, speaks to her toughness emotionally on a lot of levels, because she getting slapped around emotionally, having to watch these things again. I mean, this was kind of deep, because he was kind of like the Scarecrow in some senses, or what she was going through when seeing your deepest fears. You feel me? I'm
yes.
DC Marvel, DC Cross right here.
Yes.
You're seeing your deepest fear and having to face it, and then it running back over and over, and she's still having to try to find him. So she had to be tough enough emotionally and mentally to say, I am going to do this, and I'm going to get to you. So to me, in reality, that was really a greater feat than we would look at in any other Marvel movie, taking on any other character from a physical perspective, even greater so, because that's harder to do, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, in a lot of ways, that, from that perspective, if you look at it in that perspective, that was deep, and it was strong, to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's even like, if we jump to just the ending, right? Like, so she's able to pull him out, and essentially, once he's out and free, everything goes back to normal. Everybody starts reappearing, and Valentina sees that this little group here has some possibilities, and you can see the wheels start to turn.
She needed to be.
Yeah.
Now go ahead. I'm sorry.
So
I was thinking about this movie like, yo.
She coaxes them through, some tarps and things, and on the other side of the tarp is the press and the media, and she introduces them as the New Avengers. And here we go. It's kind of like, even for the audience, because it's like a huh. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh no, it's everybody's like, what? That was like kind of the response in the theater when I saw it. It was just kind of what? So there they are. They're looking at each other like, huh? Yeah, okay. And Bob's over there just, yeah.
Which is hilarious, not knowing what's going on, bro. He was like destroyed.
Oh, you guys,
like you almost destroyed it. He's like, yeah, that part was like okay. And we put you back in the box.
We get to the post credits.
Well, let me stop it right there, Hayden.
Go ahead.
What'd you guys think about the movie marketing after this movie had come out, where they're going around and repostering everything, New Avengers? I found it distasteful.
I thought it was too soon. I thought they could have waited to do that. Because that was starting to pop out. Like, I'm trying to avoid any kind of spoilers, and I start seeing this. I was like, no, I don't want to know any of this yet.
So you mean from the perspective of us knowing that they were going to be New Avengers, or from the perspective of how they handled it? Like, oh, we'll just move right along after all this tragedy, travesty.
I've read Thunderbolts comics, Bullseye, Venom, Elektra. They're running around in these.
Bullseye,
yeah.
I remember.
And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, granted, I don't remember any of these people being Thunderbolts before, but the Thunderbolts are a group that they do the missions that nobody else wants to do. Hayden said it best before we started filming tonight. They're like the Suicide Squad of Marvel, but they're gritty. They don't really kind of take orders. They don't follow the rules.
Punisher in that roster in the comics too at some point.
Yeah, you got General Ross, Red Hulk, and here you are, and you're like, well, no, we're just gonna rebrand them as the New Avengers because that's gonna sell the movie. And at that point, I was like,
I'm thinking they just did that as a ploy. Personally, I mean, I could be absolutely wrong, but I saw just more of a. They may just move forward with that. They may stick with the Thunderbolt. I don't know. Like, I'm thinking they just use that at the end of the movie to try to gain more attraction for whatever's coming next, and they're still going to be called the Thunderbolts. That's just my thought. Now, they may just run with it and be like, we're the New Avengers. Although it sounds like Sam was going to have something to say about that one way or the other via them making that point. So
that's my next question to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Wilson's putting together this new team. We saw this in the post-credit scene. I don't mean to jump the gun here, Hayden.
No.
Who was on this New Avengers team?
They don't even mention it. Anyway.
No, but you, give me some names now. That's not hold back. Ant-Man's on there, right?
You figure Ant-Man, maybe
Thor.
Black Panther, Thor.
I would think so.
You get Shang-Chi.
Okay. Is
what about Hulk?
Anywhere it's on the mix?
I don't know. Like, do you have Hulk and She-Hulk? Because where do they fall? Like, you got them from the shows.
I don't see She-Hulk being. I think they're going to try to distance themselves as far away from that as possible. That's just my personal opinion. I don't see.
But see, she's a super popular character in the comics, though, so it's difficult.
What about the Daredevil? No,
he's like street level, man. Like, you can't bring him into.
He's great though. I love the TV show.
Eventually you're going to bring them all together, right? We know not to be.
No, go ahead.
Secret Wars. We know Doomsday, Avengers, Doomsday, Secret Wars, and from my understanding, we're going to be seeing the X-Men again.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be seeing, from my understanding, we're going to be seeing Luke Cage and Iron Fist somewhere in the midst of that. From my understanding, so I think, even though this is a valid question, I think ultimately maybe when they bring them in versus who they bring in, because ultimately it's going to be like, this is going to be like, even though we're sectioning Avengers versus, it's going to be Marvel. It's going to end up, it's like you're gonna have the Marvel universe, and like in the upcoming movies, it's gonna be most of, I think, the Marvel universe, like where they're tying in everybody. So maybe that's why they're not even as concerned about who's called Avengers versus who's not, because you're going to get to see both of them on the screen. They just figure out, as long as you get to see everybody on the screen, I think everybody's going to be satisfied in a way. That's just
now. For me, this was the worst post-credit scene I have ever seen in a Marvel movie. I despised it. I have not seen anything in the Fantastic Four trailers that I am excited about. I know they have to do it to tie in for Doctor Doom, which is, the ultimate where they want to achieve and get to, which is going to put people in the theater with Robert Downey Jr. being there. But seeing that ship, it was so hokey, and I was like, I get it's the 60s, but my head hurt. I was like,
I kind of didn't like, because it kind of spoils the ending of Fantastic Four without ever having to see it. Somehow they end up in this universe, right? But just real quick with the Avengers and Avengers with a Z.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
With a Z, just with a Z on it. What's wild is I've done that in music, so I put a Z on it. I've been like, I'll put a Z, so
that's hilarious. It kind of almost sets the stage for a little bit of that Civil War thing we got in Captain America 3. It also, with the comics, we had West Coast Avengers and regular Avengers. So there have been multiple Avengers teams in the past.
Good point.
So, this is nothing new. It is interesting because this is really the first time they're addressing something like that. I'm curious to see what the roster is as far as Sam's team. Very curious. The thing that is interesting about it is it kind of sparks a little bit of that debate. Well, who's on his team? We're talking about it right now, versus how is all this going to unfold in the next couple movies? Because we know we have Fantastic Four, and on the 2026 slate, they just announced today that they're moving Doomsday to Christmas time release. So they moved it back a little bit. I'm not sure what's in front of it, as far as they might have 2 other movies in front of it. I don't know what's to come next. I haven't really followed to see what Marvel movies are coming into 2026. So as much as my interest is not really peaked with Fantastic Four, something has to happen with Doom in there. I'm telling you, Robert Downey Jr. is going to have to show up in that movie, and I'm going to have to hear about it, and then I'll go see it. But it might be post-credit scene. I don't know. But like, this kind of, to me, is like, well, I kind of know where it ends up now. I know that somehow they're just going to end up here, right? Like, I would rather not been shown. I guess they could have bickered about the teams.
Oh, you mean the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, with the rocket ship at the end, I was kind of not really feeling that they gave that away. I get
that was it did feel weird to me. Like, I'm like, it just was like, I don't need to see I don't know, like
now. I could skip that one. I know where they get here now. It's okay. I don't know. But like, as far as the, I guess rolling into my next set of, questions here for you. Anybody stand out to you? I know we talked about some of the characters, but did anybody kind of just say, I really like this character? I know we had said something about Yelena and how she had a lot of depth in this movie, and really kind of you root for that character throughout this. Did anybody else stand out for you guys?
And then I have a question, if you guys don't
mind. Yeah.
But as far as standing out, I want to see Valentina gone. Like, but outside of that, I want to see this movie. I want to see her. Like I was like, yo, somebody just needs to retire, help her to retire. Yes. Like, I'll put it that way. But I can't say that stood out. Not offhand. Not outside of like the Guardian, of course, Yelena.
I will say one thing, that thinking back about the movie from the dream sequence when Bob was kind of thinking about what happened at the lab, you forget that when Florence Pugh sent there to go blow the lab up, they got the shadows on the wall already, and I'm not even paying attention. I just thought it was just like wall art. I had no, because again, I went to the movie blind. I chose not to know anything about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I prefer to go see movies. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to hear. I try not to watch the trailer maybe one time, and I'm like, I'm in or I'm out. Mm-hmm. I don't want to know, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, I agree.
So he was avoiding like right then.
Yes.
He's so
yeah.
He's
I'm
like, yo, Bob, go back. He's like, maybe I should stay down here. Maybe you should just stay down there. I'm messing up.
And like with Bob, and like we see him in the post-credits scene, where they say, well, what did you do? He's like, well, I did the dishes because I'm not going to be that guy because something, if something goes wrong, I'm going to be the void again. So I'm just going to be Bob. So he's been in all those months. He's only been Bob. He hasn't gone to be Sentry. He's just, I'm just going to do the dishes. I'm Bob. All right. I'm going to sit here and drink my soda. One of the characters I thought was interesting was Walker. I liked Walker, and I did not really like him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. And they really kind of went a little over the top with making him kind of like, oh, I'm a soldier, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm, he was much more relatable in this. Mm-hmm. And I like Wyatt Russell. I'm a big Kurt Russell fan. I think Wyatt Russell's got a lot of talent, and I liked him in this role. Like I was fully expecting to be again, I don't like it, but he was like, I was like, I kind of like this character right now. He's the U.S. agent, like and the costume looked right. Like it didn't look right in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. It looked right here. And, it looked good. And, he's, I thought he played it well. I thought he was a good addition and, he's a good actor and they took advantage of that.
I do like the way that they drew not the dichotomy, but in other words, the contrast. Thank you, Lord. The contrast between him and Captain America personalities. Yes. I like the way that continue to be drawn out. Like you're completely completely different people, both potentially patriotic, but different in the way that they view things. The way that they view people, or talk to people, and just a lot of things. Like and it's interesting because the super soldier serum came up a couple of times in this movie, and also I think not Yelena, Valentina, sorry, her aide, I think mentioned like, oh well, there was a talk of when you give the super soldier serum to one person, their qualities, if they're good, it becomes better, but if they're not good, and she mentioned like Bob's been tripped out on LSD, like on drugs, what's going to happen with that? And there you go, left swing low, swing high. I mean, honestly, so it's like, and I think the Walker character is a interesting also part to that because he's a super soldier, and not to the level of whatever was given to Bob necessarily, but just he gets the job done and it's good. But hope he makes the best decisions as well. That's going to be helpful to everybody and not just for himself. Like, because he's like Bob was like, you're like whatever he called him. Like, and that was like very important because like, yeah, you are. He is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, you're nothing like Captain, but the actual real Captain, other Captain. So that part was good. He did stand out from that perspective. Yeah.
Do you guys want to give me your final thoughts on the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was there a particular scene that you went, wow, that's great, or I really hated that, I didn't like it? Just give me your final thoughts before we transition to the box office projections coming up.
So my thought, I thought it was good overall. I mean, like as far as like a Marvel movie, action movie, I was like, well, this is definitely different. So it didn't feel like the Marvel, Captain America, Winter Soldier, the Avengers Civil War, the first Avengers. It didn't feel like that. It definitely felt different. So at first, I don't know if I appreciated that difference so much in the sense that I'm like, oh, okay, but from a perspective of like Hayden was talking about what they touched on from emotional perspective, psychological perspective, mental perspective, that definitely was good, definitely was poignant from that perspective. I also thought that I was just going to mention to you guys some themes that were parallel between Yelena and Bob, and also Natasha and Bruce, both being in some ways out of control, and those two characters, having to be the ones. Now think about this contrastly, them being widows, giving a name of something, a creature that's very deadly, an insect that's very deadly, very venomous and poisonous, will kill you on the spot, but having enough compassion and depth and concern to something that's even more destructive, and to be able to calm that down, and a monster, potentially quote unquote a monster, and someone else that's like mentally unstable, to be able to calm them down, and so that they could be at peace and function correctly. So I just thought that was an interesting contrast in many ways. Bob is in his regular, I'm going to be Bob. Bruce is like, I'm Bruce, I'm not turning into Hulk. Bob's like, I'm not turning into Sentry. Just very interesting,
That is interesting.
Contrast. But I thought it was
I didn't think about that. That's
not at all.
Yeah,
that is a very good point.
But I thought it was good. The movie I thought was very good overall. Red Guardian was great as just being who he was, and so it was good. I overall I thought it was good.
For me, it was unexpected. Where it went. I was kind of expecting Suicide Squad, like the DC movie. I was expecting a mission. I was not expecting what we got, and the levels of emotion that the trauma, and like some real life issues. And like we had said this whole time, people have issues, right? Like nobody ever just is perfect all the time. Everybody goes through stuff, and it really took me by surprise that was the theme of this thing. And I liked that they did that. I really liked that they did that, because that is a bold choice. You're going to get people to come see it because of the Marvel name, and it's the MCU, and it still has the hype. But man, they really had something to say with this, and they usually don't. So usually you're getting the action, like Oshal had said. You come in, you expect you're going to get the action. This wasn't action heavy. There had a couple scenes, but there was a lot to chew on emotionally, and that I thought they took a risk, and I liked this movie. And I'll be the first one to tell you that whatever downturn Marvel took, and they mailed it in, and this and that, it's terrible. This was unexpected for me, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
I had to agree with both of you. I really enjoyed this. It was probably the first Marvel movie I've watched that, since maybe Endgame, where I was like, wow, this is actually really pretty good. I really enjoyed this. So high marks from me. We're going to transition. We're going to go right into box office projections. Hayden, a couple weeks ago, we sat down and we reviewed 2 movies. And we got a clear winner this week. Thunderbolts. You guessed 70 million. I guessed 75. Actual retail number was 76.
Oh, there you go.
The second movie we took a look at was Clown in a Cornfield. You said that, but do you know how much it grossed? Have you been
No, I don't. I didn't.
You guessed 1 million. I guessed 1.2. The actual retail number was 3.6.
Wow.
Yes.
That did really well.
Hayden, I get to.
Oh, there it is. You got the belt.
Your
big gold.
Your streak of 5 months of whooping me has now come to an end.
Listen, I didn't know you were getting big gold. You got big gold right
here.
there. I'm gonna come and get that.
There's no shame in my game when I can finally win.
You got to have entrance music.
You have to understand, we've had several weeks where we tied, and I couldn't take the belt from him. But now that I have officially won,
so you went out and got. How much was that?
The price isn't consequential.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what this is worth. It matters who wears it. The belt doesn't make the man. The man is the belt.
Listen, when I take it, you're going to turn into.
He dropped the card on that one. He dropped the credit card on that one. I'm just
Hey. So
I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. This week we have 3 blockbusters.
It's just
to
going to
review.
sit there, right? Yeah, I got a glare from the shining in my eye right now.
This is going to be on during the entire news segment.
Rick Steiner, he's just Steiner.
You got to get the chainmail headdress and do Steiner math.
Who's the wrestler who's on all the talk shows on Fox News?
That's the guy. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
the big guy.
Yes. So look, we're going to review 3 movies this week.
Okay.
And we're going to start with the biggest one, and the first one is Lilo and Stitch.
Is that this weekend or?
That is this weekend, opening this weekend. Hayden, give me the number.
Oh man, these Disney live action.
This is only opening weekend, by the way. It's not anything. How much the movie's going to gross altogether? North American projections.
What was
not worldwide?
Thunderbolts was 77, 76?
76.
I'm going to go 90.
I think it's a good number.
I'm going to go 102.
Oh, 102.
Hey, Oshal, you want to give me a number?
Sure. I'm going to go 103.
Wow.
Oh.
I don't think you're wrong on that. I really don't. I think that this is going to be probably the box office hit of the summer.
I really think so, because of the likability. Like, so many people like Lilo and Stitch, the Disney cartoon. You remember the graphics on this, look pretty good as well, and it's funny. Something that I think parents will think that whether they should or not, I'm not judging it one way or the other, but think they can take their kids to and this will be a good family movie, it'll be funny. So I think it's going to really draw people. Yeah,
I don't disagree with you at all. The second movie we're going to look at is Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, also opening this weekend. Oshal, we're going to give you the opportunity to start this one off. Give us what the number is.
Okay. I want to. I'm going to say 70. I'm going to say 78.
Good number. You want me to go next, there, Hayden?
Yeah.
I really did not like the last Mission Impossible movie. I thought it was terrible. He's basically fighting AI. This one here, the trailer seems a lot more action-packed. They're trying to cram a lot more stuff in. Still can't make heads or tails of what's going on in it, but that's another story. I think 78 might be ambitious on an opening weekend where Lilo and Stitch and people are going to be spending a lot of money going to see that.
That's true.
I'm going to go 65. I'm going to go lower.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be terrible. I'm not saying it's going to.
I think that's good. I think you're right. Like, honestly, I think that's.
No, I think 78 was a really good number. I had the choice between going higher or lower, and Hayden's going to be the.
I'm going to go 85.
Wow.
I think you're going to have here. This is Tom Cruise is still a draw.
Right.
People get hyped for these movies, and he really markets them well, and he talks to the audience, and he gets people hyped to go see them. For the adults that are not going to see Lilo and Stitch with the kids, they will be seeing Mission Impossible. So I think 85.
Now, I have a question for both of you. Did you guys see the video of him eating popcorn?
No.
My facial expression was like, what?
Popcorn in his mouth. He's like,
he's throwing it in like M&Ms?
Yeah. It's like,
interesting.
Google it when you get some time later after the show. If you have not seen anything more disturbing than Tom Cruise eating popcorn, it is very odd. And I'll leave it at that. So we have the tiebreaker for this week. 2 weeks from now, this movie comes out. So it's not this weekend. It's 2 weeks from now. I believe this could be another big summer blockbuster movie. Karate Kid Legends. I'll go ahead and I'll start this one off, and then we'll show it to Oshal and then to Hayden to wrap up. I hate to say summer fatigue could already be setting in at this point. A lot of diverse films out there. I know my daughter wants to go see Lilo and Stitch and Karate Kid and How to Train Your Dragon, and there's another one after that. So I know I'm on the hook for like 3 or 4 movies just with her this summer. And if there's one I'm going to have to pass up, it's going to have to be this one. I'm going to go 60. Again, I think it's going to do really well. I think competing second week against people for Final Reckoning and Lilo and Stitch is going to be a tough draw. Oh, so you want to give me your number?
What was yours again?
60.
Chris?
60.
I'm going to go 50. 50,
Okay.
51.
All right.
I'm going 45.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I got to get Billy D. Williams to pop in here with the Colt 45.
You got it.
45.
Oshal, do you want to drop us your links one more time and just tell us who you are and where people can find your music?
Sure. So again,
pull that up.
Oshal, aka DJ Metaphor. Yeah, thank you guys so much. There's the site right there. It's Lamb and Lion. So what I do, I digital DJ also, and the owner, so to speak, of Lamb and Lion Productions and Audio Visual Services. So do recordings, songs for podcasts, movies, if need be, movies for podcasts, anything, commercials. Also video editing, so putting, songs to video, adding that emotion, to it. So there's a couple of videos on the site right there as well. There are the songs. Like I said, I have a rapper rap, and that's done by a guy, beat done by a guy named Mega Ran, who's very popular underground, quote unquote nerdcore artist. And I have a song called Praise Him, which is about God, but it features G1 Transformers footage and things like that. So maybe interesting mashup. And so, essentially those things. You can follow me, I believe, on YouTube at the @ OSHAL HIGH on YouTube, OSHAL HIGH. I do have a link tree as well, so that may be dropped later. But this is the main page right here, the Bandcamp. Feel free to subscribe and support. Any support is greatly appreciated. Names will go in credits of albums, as far as support, and also videos at tier 2, tier 3. I think it's like 30 a month. I write your song. We also do conferences at least once a month, just talking it up, encouragement, creative processes, thoughts, things I'll be working on. So that's on tier 3 under subscribe. So anything in there. And again, I'm also a minister. I do preach the gospel. I'm out and about, actually literally at times preaching the gospel outside. It's so funny, every once in a while I get truckers who be like, yeah, I needed to hear that word, man. I'm just a little different, but it's all for the love of God and just to have fun as well. I have a Soul Caliber song which I really like because I say some funny things in there, I think, and so feel free to check that out as well.
It was Tyrese, right? Was the belt? Fox News, Tyrese.
Oh yes.
I told you, man. My
Tyrus.
Like, again, my memory. I'm telling you, it's like I knew that 2 days ago, and I knew it. I'm telling you, it's getting bad. If you like what you saw tonight, Hayden, where can they find us?
They can find us at realgeekmedia.com. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitch. We are on X. We are on RSS. We are everywhere. We are also on Paranormal 24/7. We're all over the place.
Let me tell you. Oshal, thank you for coming tonight. Pleasure having you. Hope you stick around for the news.
So coming up next, we got funny and weird news. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, give us a subscribe. If you don't, thank you for taking the time. Oshal, we appreciate you. And
appreciate you guys.
We will be back with funny and weird news stories.